ran across a quote that particularly struck me. It just really stuck with me. It was by Mario Cortez. And in it he said, "Leadership is seeing the oak tree and the acorn." I said, I love that quote. I'm talking to a group of leaders. I need to give these leaders an acorn. So I fashioned these little mementos out of the acorns, and I gave them an object lesson about trees, how trees are examples of leaders, because trees grow other trees because of the fruits that they bear and the seeds that they bear. And inside each acorn, I put an oak tree, just to remind them of the power of the acorn. I was born in March of 1960. My mother and father were both farmers, and I'd hear Dad say, "Up and at 'em, boys, it's time to roll out, time to roll out." And this would be about probably 4:30 to 5 a.m. in the morning. You know, 5 or 6 days out of every week, you were working in the fields, in the barns, or in the pack house, you know, getting the crop ready to harvest. It was a challenging childhood in a lot of ways. I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and we were, didn't realize it at the time, but we were poor. You know, didn't, because Mom always tried to make things as best as she could. But the biggest thing was my dad was an alcoholic, and Dad wasn't a happy drunk. Daddy was more of a violent drunk. We did our best to defend our mother against him, and he would strike Mom, he would beat Mom. Probably the low point came when I guess I was probably close to 12 or 13 years old. On one of these drinking binges, my brother and I had decided that, that we were going to stop him from hitting and beating Mom. And that night, we actually got the gun out. And we went in there with the gun, my brother and I, and he was beating Mom. And before we could do it, and it might have been fear on our part, I'm sure we were scared to death, but he took the gun from us before we could shoot him, and I'm glad he did. It made life very difficult growing up, It made loving him very, very difficult. Growing up in a small town meant that everybody knew everything about my family. I was ashamed of it, but I took a lot of that with me when I left home, and I carried it for many years. I would not look people in the face that I knew who I was, knew my background, knew my family, knew my father and how he lived and what he did. I avoided people from my hometown. In 2001, I actually, I heard the local news, the local rant was we were going to get a YMCA in Yadkin County. I was scared to death to walk in the door the first time. I knew that there would be people there from all over the community, and I wanted to be in control of who people saw Fred Trivette really was, and not the life that my father lived and where I came from. I didn't want that to define me. I wanted to define myself. They cornered me in the hallway one morning after cycle class and said, so we'd like for you to consider being on the board. And I'm like, board of what? What board? And of course I knew nothing about what a board was or anything like that. And so they explained it to me in brief detail what the board was. And I said, I don't know, but sure, I'll try, why not, And boy, did I get an experience with fundraising early on in the Y. Not being a very social person all my life for those reasons, it was just like, gosh, can I do this? It was actually easier for me than I thought it would be. And of course, this is the first trophy I ever received in my life. That was the first one. I was program chair for 2 years, and the executive director asked me one day if I would consider being the board chair. And he explained to me that he thought I would do a really good job. He thought I had the ability to lead people and to inspire people. And that just totally blew me away. It was the first time I'd probably ever been affirmed of those two qualities in my life. I think when I took that job, something changed on the inside of me, and I don't really know what it was. But I was able to inspire people. And having helped in the annual campaign for 2 or 3 years by that point, I knew better what the mission of the why was. I knew that the why really was changing people's lives. It changed older people's lives. It changed children's lives. I mean, I knew it was changing my life, but I could talk about all the lives that were being changed by the why. For one of the first times in my life, I really felt like I was a part of something that was bigger than me, that really didn't judge me. When I say it changed my life, I mean that with all my heart. It totally changed my life at that point.
A good friend of mine gave me a small banana sapling it was 3 years ago. It was this tall in a quart bucket. And I planted it here in the yard and nurtured it over the winter, piled leaves on top of it last winter so it could endure the winter. And this is it today. And I wanted to give the message that day that each of us have the ability within us to grow leaders. And each of us can make leaders out of other people if we only see sometimes what's inside the acorn.